now we're using it to the
serve our refugees.
For basic background, 14th Amendment was the result of post-Civil War politics and realities in the Reconstruction era where African Americans, and they weren't called that back then, right, Mr. Buford?
They were called slaves.
They were called slaves, correct. That the slaves, even with the Emancipation Proclamation and even with the end of the war, were not being granted all the rights that Congress said they should have and that the President said they should have. So the 14th Amendment, it was primarily geared at the slaves to ensure their rights as citizens. So that when they were freed and after the war, to guarantee all the rights that they were entitled to. The 14th Amendment was implemented for that primary purpose. The phrase that's being debated today is the one that says that you become a U.S. citizen, American citizen, by virtue of being born on American soil. And obviously, part of the debate in constitutional law is, do we look at the intent of the framers of the 14th Amendment, what was going through their head back then? The problem with that, we look at original intent, and that's a valid way to look at it. The problem is the framers of the 14th Amendment had no clue that we would be here today looking at immigration as an issue. Back in the time post-Civil War, essentially we had open borders.
And from an African American perspective, it's sacrosanct. 1857, the Dred Scott case right here in St. Louis. Mm-hmm. Where Dred and his wife were not considered human or equal. We were 3/4 of a person in the Constitution. So the 14th Amendment was, and is today, very sacred as far as African Americans are concerned. And any attempt to compromise it or change it is seen in terms of being racially motivated, because it was initially framed around a racial issue. If you can compromise and undo the 14th Amendment, what's next? And people who are brown and yellow in this country, and Bosnians and other immigrant groups who are coming into this country, the same applies. If their offspring is born here, they're no longer citizens. Now, true enough, we have advanced to where we have issues with our borders, but there are other ways. Illegal immigration is what the Senator Carl, I think his name is, in Arizona, presented this alternative to stopping illegal immigration. There are 4 or 5 things we can do other than amend or change the 14th Amendment. So to African American people, it would be sacrilegious to attempt to change this.
14th Amendment is about inclusion. And including people, and we're a country that's founded on immigration, and I think that to change it would be to change, in part, that issue of inclusion that is embodied in the 14th Amendment. So I think I agree with what you're saying is, what's next if we change this?
Philosophically, there's reasons not to want to change the 14th Amendment, and practically, it's just not feasible. But I want to say, we have to look at the issue that we're concerned about, that Americans are concerned about, and it is illegal immigration. And for me, I want to say, what is the cause of illegal immigration? And it isn't women crossing the border and having babies to get citizenship. It's economic. So if we want to address our broken immigration system, we really have to look at the conditions that are driving this issue, and that's economics.
I appreciate it's an economic issue, and it is. I appreciate this goes to racial injustices of the past and sensitivities. Very tuned into the legal aspects of it. But as a law enforcement guy, I look at this as it's a matter of civil society having the rule of law. And it's real simple. We have laws, and we make a choice. We either enforce the existing laws or we don't. So we can have different agreements or disagreements how to do that. But a lot of this goes to policy way beyond law. And we have issues here we haven't gotten close to yet as this experience evolves. Economics, Yeah, a whole bunch. But it's also drug trafficking. 90% of the methamphetamine coming into this country comes out of Mexico from cartels. We have cartels operating here in the state of Missouri. The whole country does. So it really gets into other issues beyond social issues and beyond economic issues. And what's going on down south is a lot of folks' lives are at risk right now, and I don't hear much sympathy for those people at risk.